Welcome to episode 4 of the Bourne Braves podcast. We know it's been a while, but we've been finishing up our school years and now we're finally all on Cape Cod. So we're very excited to be here. Ally, Cam, and Matt, as always. No players today, no coaches, just us. We're going to be talking about some of the success that Bourne saw last season and then some of the players that we think are going to help the Braves see similar success all season long this summer. Cam, I'll hand it off to you. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened at Doran Park last season?
Well, yeah, it's no surprise. The Braves, the 2022 champions, and now trying to repeat to be in that spot 3 years in a row, taking down Brewster, who they will play on a Saturday to open up this season. They just scrimmaged yesterday, but Bourne last summer, just really everything came together. In especially the last 10 games, they just sneaked out to be the number one team when the season concluded. Were the regular season champs with right around 23 wins. They won 8-1 in their last 10. And, we all know how well Matt Shaw and Chris Brito did. Matt Shaw, the MVP of the Cape League, batted 360. So really a lot of big shoes to fill for a lot of the Bourne Braves players this season. But Scott Lanner's back at the helm, so looks like a good team so far.
Yeah, I think the beauty with summer ball that sometimes you see is, you have all these great players from a year before, and then you come to the next season and they're all gone. So it's a nice challenge, I guess, that Scott Landers inherits with the second season. But there are some guys coming back from last season, some that we'll talk about today. But last season was so great, and you'll see, there's probably a similar recipe. I would think for this year is that you'll see a lot of these temporary guys early in the year, and then a lot of these other guys show up late. They have deep runs in the playoffs or in regionals, super regionals. Some make it to the College World Series. See guys come in later, and they just tear it up. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens if there's like a similar story to what happened last season, where you don't have all your guys initially, and then they all come together in July, and you just hit a second gear.
Like Cam said, obviously Bourne starting their season this year at Brewster, and that has been the championship series for the past 2 seasons. So definitely an exciting opening day. Bourne will be on the road and then home opener on the 13th. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Home opener on the 13th. So that's when the action will start at Doran Park. But like Matt and Cam said, not a completely full roster quite yet. We saw at the scrimmage against Brewster yesterday that it was kind of, just kind of getting guys out there, kind of seeing what every single pitcher could do, seeing what everybody could do so far. But we do want to talk about the potential of this roster and some guys that we're really excited about. We'll start with the pitchers, and Cam, why don't you go first with your pitcher to watch?
Yeah, so I like Ryan Fisher a lot, the right-handed pitcher out of New Jersey IT. He's a returner. He was on this team last year, and Scott Landers has said this, and a lot of people have brought up, but how much he learned last summer in the Cape to really improve his stuff. And this year at school, so many innings under his belt, kind of really becoming more of a starter with more of those innings, going to be a rising senior. He had 90 innings so far in his spring season, 74 strikeouts, controls the zone well with 22 walks. And he was also the East Pitcher of the Year and the NGIAT Athlete of the Year as well. So you just look at his improvement from the spring of 2022 coming into last summer in the Cape and then to now. Getting a lot more experience, and I think he'll be definitely an experienced guy, a leader in this staff returning to the Cape this summer and can be big for the Bourne Braves.
Someone I'm going to talk about is a little young guy, Jacob Exum out of Virginia Tech, just coming off his freshman season. We did get to see him pitch in the scrimmage. He's a little interesting. He's got a sidearm release, so it's definitely going to be different for the hitters to see. It's always a little interesting when you face a sidearm pitcher. But he's coming off his freshman year at Virginia Tech. He had a solid year. Appeared in 16 games, had a 5.28 ERA, and it's always interesting with a freshman pitcher. There's a lot of them that come in so highly touted, and then they kind of have an up and down freshman year because they're still getting adjusted. And so I think this could be a good, summer for him to kind of just get more acquainted with the college game, get more up to speed, kind of maybe keep hitters more off balance. I always had trouble against the sidearm pitcher. It's just so strange to kind of face it. But I think for Jacob, being a good sidearm pitcher coming out, he didn't issue many walks. He was averaging a little under a walk per inning or per outing rather. Only had 12 walks in his 16 appearances. So he did a good job controlling the zone throughout his freshman year. I think it's just him building more confidence as the season goes along, and I think that's what he'll have this summer.
I'm also going to go with the returner like Cam. My pitcher to watch is Cade Grundy. He'll be back in Bourne this summer. Last summer, he had finished his season with Bourne with a 2.16 ERA. He pitched 25 innings for the Braves. Did a lot more in college than he did his first year. His first year, he's from Louisville in the ACC. He pitched just around 16 innings. This year, he pitched a whole 35. He finished the season with a 5.6 ERA. So I think that Grundy can, not only bring, some good pitching back to Bourne, but I also think there's something to be said for, leadership, veteran status. He knows what it's like to win a championship. So I'm excited to see what he can kind of bring and hopefully lead these guys again back to back. And now we'll move on to the infields. Cam, why don't you get us started again?
Yeah, I like Garrett Michelle a lot out of Virginia Tech. He's going to be a rising sophomore, and you're just finishing up his freshman season and what he was able to do. A guy that had 51 starts, batted .339, almost 200 ABs under his belt. So he's seen good competition so far in the ACC. Had 11 home runs, has shown some power as well, does not strike out a lot, runs the base paths as well. And in high school, this guy's travel team won the world championship. So you talk about coming to a winning program and winning organization with Bourne, and where he plays at Virginia Tech that also plays good baseball. I think Michelle is a guy that could definitely be a player that gets some time early on this season. Definitely a younger player, seeing better competition in the Cape could be an adjustment. But what this kid showed throughout this spring season as a freshman to bat almost 340 on the year is really, really good to see. So I could see Garrett Michelle from Virginia Tech having a big year.
For me, I'm going to talk about someone that I was lucky enough to be able to be around last summer with the team I was with last summer. I'm going to talk about Jake Reynes coming off his redshirt junior season with the Maine Black Bears, and he's dealt with a lot of injury throughout his career. He dealt with injury last summer, and this year was like the first year he came into it fully healthy, and I mean, he tore the cover off the ball. He was named to the Brooks Wallace semifinal list, which goes out to the nation's best shortstop. He hit .321 for the Black Bears this season, 16 home runs, 47 RBIs. He was first team All-America East. He is in Bourne. He arrived today when we're filming June 8th. And I just, last summer, I was so lucky to be able to spend time with him each day and learn about his journey and whatever else. And he's been around it. I think he's this is his first full season, but he's been with Maine for four years. So he's someone that can, Ally talked about with Cade, is that veteran qualities that you'll get out of a player. It's his first year on the Cape, but he'll give you the experience that he's had throughout his time in college. So, someone that can, Garrett, Garrett plays in such a higher conference in the ACC, but he's still so young. Someone like Jake can kind of, mentor him a little bit and kind of teach him a little bit more. I think that's some of the great things that you see through summer ball is everyone's trying to get better, but they're also learning from one another. And I think Jake's one of those players that, once you get to know him, he's so easy to talk to. But he's just, he just wants to have fun. That's the biggest thing he told me every time last summer. So he just wants to have fun with it. I know the Cape's a huge league. It's big for scouts and players to have whatever. But Jake, I think he'll bring that same kind of have fun attitude every day to Dorn Park.
I think it's really exciting that we're talking about all these players with leadership qualities, veteran status, because that definitely applies to my infielder as well and probably bodes well for Bourne. So my infielder to watch is Bryce Eblin from Alabama, another returner for the Braves this summer. And he actually won the MVP in the Cape League Championship last year when Bourne won. So definitely pretty valuable player. He's had a long career with Alabama, just not even finished his third year because Bama's in a super regional, but He is part of that team and, didn't have the greatest year batting. He was just around 272, which by his standards are not necessarily like the strongest, but better than last season, which is good to hear. Hopefully, maybe he took some of that experience in Bourne and applied it to his year at Bama. But I'm just really excited to see him back on the Cape. I think he had a really great showing last year as a leader for Bourne and could do the same this year. So yeah.
And I
Outfield.
want to say the big on Bryce too. When you look at just his stats from last summer, he batted 238 the whole entire year. But the big thing that he showed was, and you brought up when you win an MVP award in a championship series, always stepped up in the big games. Back to your guys' point on leadership, and has a really strong glove as well. So I think the big key from what you guys brought up in the infield as a whole, you talk about someone that could be a leader at the shortstop position. I think that's huge.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, let's move on to the outfield.
Yeah, so I have Jackson Castillo. So a guy right here that's going to be a rising junior, just finished his 2 years at community college. He played JUCO ball at College of Southern Nevada, and he tore up the cover of the baseball, batted 432, started 52 of 56 games, almost 200 at-bats, 17 homers, 60 RBIs. He really did it all. And he'll be transferring to Auburn this upcoming season. So kind of a big transition for him right here. There's a lot of good talent in JUCO baseball, but now to go to the Cape League and you're going to face a lot of guys that are getting close to that pro level and then going to play at Auburn, an SEC school. So he's really taken that jump. And I think that this summer is going to be big for him. But I think that his confidence level's got to be at an all-time high. But I think more than anything, a test this summer in the Cape League. So I'm really excited to see what Castillo is going to be able to do, how he adapts to the Cape League, going from JUCO to now a high Division I collegiate summer league.
Yeah, someone else who I think is going to, have that jump up in competition a little bit is Brett Callahan out of St. Joseph's in the A10. He's produced every year that he's been with the Hawks. He batted above 300 every single year, 315 as a freshman, 384 as a sophomore. Now this past junior year, batted 342, had 11 home runs and 55 home run or 55 RBIs. 55 home runs would be a lot. Oh my gosh. But he's coming off an A10 first team all conference year this past year. He's the only St. Joseph player to appear in every single game this season. He reached base in 38 consecutive games at one point throughout the season. So he's found success to find ways to get on base. And he's just been slowly getting better until this past junior year. He hit a different gear with how he hit the ball. So I'm excited to see him take that next step up in competition, like we'll see with Jackson Castillo, from him to JUCO to now the Cape League. And same with Brett, in the A10, kind of played in, weaker, I guess, competition per se, however you want to word it. And then, some other lower summer ball leagues. And now you take this step up to the Cape, and excited to see if he's able to carry that same momentum forward, because he's just been slowly getting better every year with St. Joseph's.
And my outfielder to watch is actually someone we had the pleasure of already talking to on the podcast, and that's Vance Honeycutt out of North Carolina. Last year he was supposed to play for Bourne, didn't end up coming because he was at the USA team trials, I believe, which he said was an awesome experience. But obviously didn't ever make it out onto the Cape. And so hopefully this year we'll see him. I mean, potential first round draft pick right there. He's super talented. He was the most outstanding player in the ACC championship, just as in his first season with North Carolina. So I think, he brings quite a presence defensively to the outfield. Obviously, he stands at 6'3", weighs 205. He's a big guy. He's out there. I think he could really make some magic in the Cape League if he comes and gets that opportunity this coming summer. And I will let you guys talk about some of the catchers as well that we're interested in. Some really talented guys in this group as well.
Yeah, down the list of all the guys that are there, there's definitely a few that stand out. We already talked to Hugh Pinckney of Rutgers, who had a solid season. But I think what stands out to me is Derek Bender of Coastal Carolina. Just finished his sophomore season. Was a semifinalist for the Dick Hauser Trophy, which honors the best players in college baseball. And Matt and I have talked about him a few times. Plays with a lot of energy at the field. He's going to be a captain behind the plate when he gets here. Batted 340, had almost 100 hits, almost 100 RBIs, hit 20 home runs, and a guy that almost had 300 at bats. So played in a strong conference. Coastal was a top 10 team a lot of the time this season. So I think if and when Bender gets ready to play, he's going to be a guy that's a really has his presence felt, especially for Bourne, especially we go back to talking about a leader. That's exactly what Bender is.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna talk about Nolan Watson, who comes out of Dayton. He's dealt with, he's had an up and down collegiate career, but this year he had a really strong season for the Flyers. He started 35 of 42 games, batted 304, 9 home runs, 26 RBIs. So he's someone who's just really worked hard to get his opportunities. I'm excited to see if he, brings that same attitude to the Cape. And also just a quick hit on another catcher, Evan Sullivan out of Binghamton. He won America East Freshman of the Year as a freshman last season. So in his freshman year, coming off his sophomore year, there's a couple good, really good catchers at smaller schools that will have the opportunity to step up on the big stage.
Yeah, should be a really exciting group. I mean, every single position group here is so exciting, and the pitchers too. It's like such a stacked roster. This is obviously the quality of Cape Cod League baseball, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited to cover it all summer long. So we'll be back, I think, with more episodes this season of the Bourne Braves podcast, hopefully getting some more people on here like we did preseason, but we're so excited, and we hope that all of you guys tune in to all of our broadcasts. We'll have every single game home and away for you all season long, and we're excited to get started.